Don't shoot, I am Ilia. This is why I have to. As 6 assassins left the prince dying in the arms of his beaten and bloodied wife, little did they know that they were not killing the idea of rebirth in a Georgian nation, only strengthening its resolve. This is the story of the poet prince Ilia Chavchavadze and his fascinating journey from mourning in the mountains to murder and martyrdom as he became the father of a nation reborn. Georgia, a country of stunning landscapes, magnificent cities, delicious food, and exquisite wine. With warm welcoming smiles, it has not always been such a free and wonderful place. It is a place that has been plagued by a turbid and difficult history. Today we explore the story of the man that Georgians consider to be the father of their nation, Ilia Chavchavadze. The story of how freedom of thought, some scribbles of ink, and a gunshot set the wheels in motion of a modern Georgian state and the willingness to fight for it. This is how Georgia came to be. Born in the mountainous valley of Kvareli in East Georgia, Ilia Chavchavadze was born in 1837 with a silver spoon in his mouth as a minor royal. He was a prince in accordance to 18th century rulers who elevated his family after showing valor to their nation when defending the region from Dagestani attacks and invasions. The evidence of some of these battles can be seen today in the ancient bullet-riddled walls of the 6th century Ninotsminda monastery. His parents instilled a love of literature, history, storytelling from a young age, and he was able to recite copious poems by heart. He was described as a rotund and unhurried man in his manners, who was slow-spoken and calm, Grigol Orbeliani jokingly describing him as a liberal round bull. It was said that due to his wit and way with words, it was impossible to beat him in a debate. Sadly, by the time he hit his teenage years, both of his parents had died. Later, another tragedy befell the young prince. His brother was killed during a Dagestani raid. Ilia moved to St. Petersburg for the rest of his education, but became ill due to the cold climate. Some say it was homesickness. When he arrived home, he expressed his overwhelming gratitude to be back in his homeland by writing his first significant pieces of work. To the Mountains of Kvareli, a poem declaring his love for Georgia, and the Traveller's Diaries, where he begins to express his desire to build a nation. Little did we know the winds of change were blowing down the Kheri Valley. Revolutions were coming, and Ilia was going to be instrumental in this. Over the next couple of decades, the Romanovs sought out a policy of Russification over their empire, with the nationalist Vasily Velechiko advocating for the full eradication of the Georgian language altogether. Children were being punished for speaking Georgian in schools. Censorship of literature was in overdrive, with another famous writer, Alexandra Kazbegi, having 90% of his debut book redacted after review. He printed it anyway, only to have the whole print run seized and burnt to ashes. This made Ilia Chavchavadze and his collective of outspoken, highly educated, pro-Georgian nationalist circle, known as the Turkdale Ulebi, seethe with rage. The group looked towards the change in beliefs and new ideas emerging out of Europe more so than the dated, antiquated ideas of the Russian monarchy and their oppression. They saw the traditions, language and culture as a threat to the crown. And Ilia saw Russification of daily life likewise a threat to Georgia's future. Through his newspaper, Iveria, many like-minded thinkers and writers expressed themselves in the Georgian language and away from the press censorship of St. Petersburg, since the chief censor, Raphael Eristavi, was a close friend of the cause. In this publication, Ilia kept the Georgian population informed with news, opinion pieces, and satire, whilst coining the phrase that would follow him for the rest of time: language, homeland, religion, the three elements he believed were vital for Georgia's cultural survival. He demanded unity amongst the people, to put the Georgian national cause above class and provincial squabbles. The vision did not envisage an outright revolt for independence, but demanded peaceful revolutions and reformation within the Russian Empire. With greater cultural freedom and protection and promotion of the Georgian language and support for Georgian educational institutions and the national church, who was under the patriarchy of the Russian Orthodox Church. This would serve as a stepping stone to independence. He tried to exert his influence in the Russian State Duma, where he briefly served between founding and running several political and cultural societies while working on translating British literature. He even found time to mentor and teach Orthodox clergy and seminaries, including a man who he described as the young man with the burning eyes. To be continued. The winds of change were now a gust across Europe. However, when one side speaks up, often others will try and shout louder. Not unlike today, politics can be polarizing, and many of Chavchavadze's views were indeed polarizing. Ilia had a lot of opposition to his ideas, with many considering him a radical and a danger to the status quo. The emergence of the Bolshevik and Menshevik movements saw his ideas as a direct contradiction of their aims. Language, homeland, religion just did not fit with these ideals. They wanted to unite the working classes with a single language under a single flag and promote secularism across the world. Ilia, at the end of the day, was a bourgeois religious nationalist in their eyes and a relic of the past, an enemy. In 1907, whilst walking with his wife outside of the town of Msketa, Ilia Chavchavadze was ambushed by a crew of 6 assassins. "Do not shoot, I am Ilia," he called out. This helped the men identify their target. "This is why I have to," said one, before he aimed at Chavchavadze's head and shot him. His wife was then battered and their bodyguard was killed too. Items were stolen and scattered as if it was made out to look like a robbery. As the 6 assassins left the prince dying on the side of the hill, little did they know that they were not killing the idea of rebirthing a Georgian nation and only strengthening it. The prince's murder was seen as a national tragedy and was mourned by all classes of Georgian society. Who killed Ilia remains a mystery. The Tsarists blamed the Bolsheviks and Mensheviks, suggesting that his former student, a young Yosef Yuglashvili, later known as Joseph Stalin, was directly involved with the murder of his publisher and mentor. The Red factions blamed the Tsarist secret police. Famous Georgian poet Vaja Pshvela said, "Ilia's murderers would have killed Georgia if they could." And this stayed in the mind of a nation who remained skeptical of the imperialists and the communists' role in Georgia in the future, and ultimately helped forge the first Georgian Republic in 1918. Later, independence from the occupiers of the Soviet Union came in 1991. Now considered as the father of the nation, the Prince of Poems, a man who went from mourning in the mountains to becoming the Prince of Poems, a martyr for his beloved Georgia. If you've enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. This will help us to make more videos in the future.